Hello and welcome to another episode of What the Feminist. We can introduce ourselves.
I'm Morgan.
I'm Ella.
I'm Analee.
I'm Kyleigh.
I'm Gabby.
I'm Brooke.
So today the focus of our podcast is unfair treatment of women in the workplace, and we're going to be focusing on women in business specifically. We're going to be talking about harassment of women in the workplace, their appearances, and other topics such as the wage gap and women in government. So without further ado, let's get started. Who wrote that?
Okay. Well, so I'm gonna talk first a little bit about just the harassment that women face. I did find that according to the Pew Research Center, only a third of people say that there's an even balance of men and women in the workplace, and the ones that have more men, women say that they are for sure discriminated against because of their gender, and that could look like not being hired or given a lower paying position, being evaluated more harshly, getting denied a promotion. A lot of things that I saw had to do with women when they get pregnant.
Yeah.
Immediately getting fired.
Yeah.
Or they get laid off.
Or it's just not paid.
That was a thing in
maternity
pro
leave.
athletes. I don't know if you guys ever saw, but literally there was this thing when Nike would not they would terminate girls what you call it, sponsorships.
Right.
They got
Yeah.
they couldn't perform.
Yeah.
Well, also, what's it called when you're pregnant and you have to go on leave?
Maternity leave.
Yeah, maternity leave.
Yeah.
They it's not even enough time, and a lot of companies I feel will not give you that pay when you are on maternity leave.
Yeah.
And I know personally, at my dad's work, they have a room for women mothers who work there to breastfeed, because a lot of them don't have access to
Yeah.
those type of rooms and stuff. And so I feel some places are coming more around to that idea, but definitely when it comes to pregnancy, I feel women just aren't given fair opportunities.
Yeah, I just looked it up and it said that the unpaid maternity leave is 12 weeks, but many mothers just do 9 because they don't have paid leave.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Which is not enough time at all, because you're typically in the hospital for a week after.
Well, yeah.
So that's really only 8 weeks.
Well, then you also have to find a daycare, or if your husband works also, then you're having to pay for someone to watch your kid literally all day while you work. It's just, it does, they're 9 weeks
unrealistic.
old.
Yeah, also how does breastfeeding play into that?
Yeah.
Then some women
pumping
have
all day.
Yeah.
I've literally seen TikToks about moms who have complained because they feel uncomfortable pumping at work, or they get
Exactly.
people are you
That is
can't pump here. They
awkward.
have to go to their car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some people
just
look
pump
really
right
down
into
on it.
Yeah, but
they
that's
kinda
just
gross and
that's
stuff.
how
Or
they feed their
men
kids.
start making jokes out of it.
Yeah.
Then
Or
they
they
put it into,
sexualize
Yeah, men sexualize
Yeah,
women
they
a
sexualize
lot.
And I'm breastfeeding is nothing.
If someone
sexual.
gets up to go
Milk.
breastfeed,
Right.
Yeah.
they're always oh, you can just stay here, and you're what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
get breast, why?
Yeah.
It's a natural thing that you're supposed to do, first of all, and it's been sexualized in a sense to where it's just because you obviously have to breastfeed out of your boob, where else would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Even if you're not breastfeeding, don't you still have to pump because it's bad for you?
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Or there's something where you can only produce so much milk and have it in your boob at a time that you do need to pump. Even if you don't choose to breastfeed your kids, you still have to pump regardless.
And
Or it can
every
actually
couple
cause
hours.
some damage or something. You can't just leave them
It causes
full.
Well, I was gonna also just say that this is just another form of it in regards to pregnancy. My sister last year, when she was she's 24, so she was doing the whole package process, and she said multiple jobs that she applied to, they asked her if she was planning on.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Because
They ask you that because if they
Yeah.
think you're she's gonna get pregnant soon, they're not gonna hire you.
Right. Well, and young people, people who probably haven't even started thinking about a family, they're automatically assuming that first of all you're gonna have a family, kids, and then assuming that.
Yeah, and also, since you only get 12 weeks, women will work all the way up until the day that or the day before,
Right.
which is so
you should
ridiculous. Yeah.
It's the episode in The
Like, that
Office when
counts
Cam
as-
literally wouldn't
Yeah.
wait till the very last minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you
People
only
were over
get, you
water.
want to save
Yeah,
those 12
exactly.
weeks so you can spend it with your child.
Yeah, because it's
But-
important.
Yeah.
You don't really
But
need to.
those are just that's a
kind of
bad
like
grabbing
grabbing your shoulder,
Yeah.
or your back, your lower back.
That was one of the other things. Is like people getting like. My dad has told me so many stories about like one of his women work friends who like has been asked out on so many dates, like in professional settings. Like you're supposed to be like networking, like professionally, and she's like constantly being like asked out like to dinner, like at a business conference.
It's
She's like, I'm here to work and like manage people. Like I'm not here to like meet
I
for other men.
experienced that
Not here for your
often.
looks.
Yes, exactly.
As a server at a restaurant, like obviously being a female, it's different because I think sometimes guys, when you're just like a nice person or you just at least want to be a good server, they take it
super.
Yes, and I was serving this old man, and he mentioned to one of my coworkers, he was like, if I was your guys' age, I'd be all over her. And I was like,
That's so
first of all, no, and second of all, what makes you think that that's an okay comment to make? I think it's just like this idea where it's just almost like funny comments that they think do no harm, but in reality, it's like, why is that necessary to say?
Exactly.
I'm just here
keep
doing
it
my
to yourself.
Yeah, like you're not here to
Unnecessary.
impress men or impress.
Yeah.
They're like you're here to do your job, and you're doing your job, and like they took it out of you.
Yeah, because then if I'm like
It's like you're flirting
rude
with them.
or if I'm like too standoffish, then I won't get a good tip. Like I'd be a bitch in that sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like just two extremes. Like I feel like you can't find middle ground. Either you're mean and then you don't get like a tip, or you have to be nice and they take it as flirtatious and like you then have to deal with that on your own. So either way, I feel like it's just a lose-lose situation.
And then there's I feel like there's also just like weird like blame.
Right.
Like I was like on. So my sister like experienced it. She was working as like a lifeguard like a couple years ago, and my sister's like rather curvy person, and her boss would like make comments about her boobs, like make comments like, "Oh, you look really good today in that swimsuit," like shit like that. And you're like, but so she went to HR and was like, "This is happening," and they literally were like, "Well, why aren't you wearing shorts when you're working?"
Yeah, that's
or
the
like,
thing.
why
It's
aren't you
like
doing
always
this?
on the girl too. Covers
dress
like
dress policy.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
victim
High
blaming.
school.
You're always blaming the victim for why it happened. Like, why are you wearing that?
Like there's a girl
Or
like
like,
girls that
did
wear
you
tank
say
tops in high
anything to
school.
him to make him think that that was okay? She's like, I know, he's a big fat man. Why would I just
Yeah.
Sorry, but like, why would you want to get with him? No, but
I mean, it's at like workplaces too. I think that women have like a very strict dress policy at times that companies put in place, and their stance is like, well, we don't want them to wear like spaghetti straps or show their shoulders. And I'm like, but why does that matter that if they show their shoulders or not? Like,
They're doing it for the men. Like they're changing themselves for.
I'm like,
the
that's not
men. Like,
sexualized at all.
Yeah.
It's like it's your shoulders.
So that kind of like leads into like my topic about like women's appearances in the workplace. So like we already know that like there's more pressure on women than men to like look a certain way in like many like workplaces, but like kind of because of this, like there's a lot of expectations around like dress and makeup that can like set women back, not only like, you know, looks wise, but like financially, because like hair is like also like a big example of like a double standard. Like I've like read articles and like listened to stories of how like African American women, like their hair, they want to leave it natural and it's curly, whereas like their bosses would come up to them and be like, you need to tame your hair, like it's unruly, like it's looking crazy, like you don't look professional, and they go, this is like my natural hair. Like it's big, but how does that make me look unprofessional? Like, big hair.
A lot of people want, it's obviously racist.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of workplaces want African American girls or even women of like minorities or color to like have like they call it like white hair.
Yeah, like straight,
straight,
tame.
It's like,
Yeah.
no. First of all, that costs a lot of money for the women that are doing it. I mean, obviously, like, if they want that hair, then like, but like, if someone is on like a tighter budget or something, like, I mean, braids, like getting your hair braided.
It's
It's
like,
also
wigs,
a time thing. It takes like 8 hours.
Yeah,
I saw a video and it was like 8 to 10 hours to do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, that's normal for them.
I'm
It's
like,
normal for them to sit down and have
it's
them.
so much money.
It should not be expected of like women of color to like conform to what white businessmen think is most attractive and will give them the best business. Like,
Or
I've
like
also
what
issued
a
the
PR
military,
standpoint would want.
like with women in their hair in the military, it's like really damaging to like certain girls, especially like people like girls of color, to their hair. And so like they actually just changed the rules of like you can wear a ponytail or braids. So like it's like better for
More
women's hair,
inclusive.
even though like
well, because they
Yeah.
expect those tight little buns. Like,
And it's
some
so
people of color
bad.
don't even have like enough hair.
Yeah.
To
Or
like,
it's just
Or their hair is they have like their
And
natural
there
hair
was
is
a
this big,
rule.
like they can't bring
They
it.
can't.
Yeah.
There was a
in
rule that
general
your mom
to
cannot
that.
be more than 2 inches wide. Whenever I was in ROTC, that was a rule. Literally, they would go make you redo your hair. I don't even know.
If it what?
It will be 2 inches wide. Like, and a lot of times women of color have like
Yeah, they have
thicker hair.
That's
and
not
like,
fair to people.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
straight
fair to
people.
have thicker hair. Like,
Yeah, like with
I have really thin
thick
hair, but like your hair is thick,
Yeah.
and that's just like your hair.
I
I'm
know.
guessing,
I can't
why does that
control
even matter? Like, why does it have to be that way? I mean, I don't think it's
Because
women
they
that put
wanna
these
look-
rules
Yeah, they
in
wanna look
place. Because if
professional,
women like had to decide on
they
these
wanna look
rules,
like
Yeah, it's
But
like
not
you
really.
just get your hair out of your face.
Yeah,
It's
like
like the
simply-
argument that like it's a distraction when you have like your hair natural or it's like a color or you have it braided a certain way, and it's just like, why are you staring at me? in the beginning?
Yeah, like
that?
when have someone ever been like, oh, like if you're a man, you have to keep your hair this short?
Yeah.
I mean, in the military, that is how it is. But like in a workplace, I've never seen like a guy be like, oh, you need to go get your hair cut.
it reminds me of
Like,
Hooters.
or you need
Like,
to shave your
actually,
beard
funny
off.
enough, Hooters, I've like seen girls like on TikTok go on
Yeah.
and talk about their experience, and they go, "Oh, your hair can't be like dyed an unnatural color. Like it has to be
Yeah.
dyed like a natural color." And like, obviously, if you go to Hooters, I don't think, unfortunately, you have never like really seen like flat like chested girls
Yeah.
like work
Yeah.
at Hooters.
No, and
they
they're
are
just
literally being
not
like
new.
picked
Yeah.
based off.
Have you
of
seen their new shorts?
Their new shorts are like literally
They're
like
cut, like-
smaller than
yeah,
underwear, and
yeah.
I think they like started a petition or something, like they're able to wear like the shorts.
The old shorts.
I think they're
Yeah.
like forced to like buy like smaller like sizes down. Like they're supposed to like
Yeah.
size down their
Yeah,
uniform.
I saw one girl and she was going to like Walmart and she went to like the kids section because she had to dress up for like a sports day at work, and she had to buy like
I
a
saw that
kids
too.
t-shirt, like a
That is
16
And then probably, like,
t-shirt to
the-
like
Yeah.
add to
squeeze
cup
into it, yeah, and
bras.
wear like a push-up bra, like just to please.
I mean, it goes with the idea of like also makeup. Like personally,
Yeah.
I am not a makeup person. Like I
Yeah.
don't enjoy wearing makeup. So when I like at home, I work at a law firm, and so I like never wear makeup in the office. And my boss is a male, and like he has never once mentioned anything about like, oh, you need to dress this way or wear makeup. But like, I know that there are situations at other
Yeah.
places where they're like, you need to wear makeup, you need to have your hair done. Like this is a dress policy.
Well, or even like, I mean, there's obviously some people, not me, but like some really creative people who are really into makeup, and like they wouldn't be able to do their normal winged eyeliner
Yeah,
or purple
glam.
because it's unprofessional. When it's like
Right.
someone's way of like expressing themselves when they have to wear an all black pantsuit,
Yeah.
like and like
Yeah.
that's their
Right.
only way. That's their only form of like self-identity. Like
Well,
I don't know.
like
No,
you're
it's
saying
like,
how
yeah.
like you like some women like are kind of like forced to wear that makeup. Like I feel like secretaries a lot, or like people who work at a desk. Like
yeah,
right when you
Their
come in,
face.
you're like the first face of the company, and they expect you to like look a certain way. And unfortunately, like the cost of beauty products and like clothing
Yeah.
is like a big barrier for women to
Yeah.
re-enter or join the workforce. Like it's not just like men can have like a few suits and you know can rewear
Yeah.
them and switch out ties,
Yeah.
but like for a woman,
If they like
we
rewear
constantly
it
have to be buying like different outfits, and that like can
Yeah.
just like you almost have to like lose money to make.
And makeup is
Yeah,
like,
well, that's a good way to put it.
almost like just as expensive as clothes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
good
expensive.
makeup is extremely expensive, and like
And it's like a little palette, like the size of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
$50.
$75.
And it's like, I no.
And it's like, well, I have to, like, foundation. You're like, well, I have to buy it.
But if you're being like told like you're not, I mean, obviously gonna keep your job, so you're not gonna be like, no, like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that. So
But I think it's that relationship of, like, if you want to wear a lot of makeup,
Yeah.
go for it. Like, I don't care. I don't have the energy to put on to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
makeup.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't want to wear makeup at work, why is that an issue? Because, like, guys don't wear makeup.
yeah,
You know, like, some of them probably should then, if we're going to
Yeah.
argue it that way. Why is
Right,
makeup only, like,
environment.
a gender-based
Right.
item?
Exactly.
I don't know if any of you have seen Selling Sunset. Obviously, it's a
Yes.
reality
Everyone's been talking about
Yes.
Sailing
Yes.
Obviously, it's a reality
So
show.
good.
Not all of it is true, but the way that they dress for work, like to be successful, a realtor in LA, like that's how you have to dress, and that is like it is so ridiculous to me. They're wearing like club
They
dresses
actually like pumps
and
every
huge,
like,
it's
they're
clearly
Louboutins.
so uncomfortable. And
Okay.
also,
Sorry, I was just gonna say the stuff that Christine wears.
Yes,
I'm
she's
like,
pregnant.
yes,
What?
No,
No,
I
it's
did not watch
crazy.
Sailing Sunset.
dude, she wears.
It's
She's like
absurd.
one episode. She had like a thing, and it was like a purse. It was a chair. It was just a little tiny chair. And she's
No.
like, it's a fashion statement. I'm like, what?
Well, and then
That's
the
sorry,
boys,
that's
like,
gonna
the
be
men,
nice.
what's
the
their
men will,
fit?
Like,
yeah, and
They
they
actually wear like
yeah,
a
yeah.
t-shirt and like
khakis and like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
button
I'm like,
up.
okay.
And I'm like,
so-
why does
And they
Christine have to wear
only
a chair?
have women on their
And
team.
you could just walk in wearing like pants.
Well,
and a
even
new
her,
button.
like, she was 9 months pregnant and still working up until,
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's her choice
Yeah.
to be a realtor, but she was still wearing, like, heels and stuff, which I found
Right.
amazing,
No,
because,
it's
like,
crazy.
obviously never been
Your
pregnant,
feet
but,
get
like,
so
you're
Your
Yeah.
feet swell. Your feet
It's a
swell.
good
Oh,
thing
and they
that
can
I would
grow.
say-
They can grow.
They-
Your
they
feet can grow
literally
an
grow.
inch like during
Yeah.
pregnancy.
Like, people
yeah,
change
your feet can
shape
get
size
bigger.
after
in the
pregnancy.
first season, they talked about how men would like be interested in like viewing a home, and they would come and then just like try to ask them out on a date, and like clearly that's wasting their time.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them was talking like, I never know if they're just in it because they want to buy a house or they just want to get with me.
I
And it was
remember
like
that
taking a
episode.
high school
Yeah.
friend, and they were like, it makes their job harder because they're wasting their time showing the house.
Exactly.
Because
They actually
man
showing
who
it to
just
someone.
wants a date.
Because isn't
I
there like
remember that
main
exact
paycheck
episode.
like what happens like when they sell like isn't that like how they make the most?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like you have to
yeah.
sell.
Commission,
their
yeah.
commission is, like, based off of if they sell the house
So,
or not,
And if not, you
Yeah.
don't make any money really.
And therefore they could be wasting their time on someone and like make no money if they just keep on meeting people that just want to flirt
I
with
mean,
them.
if
Yeah.
you think about it, though, that's like a lot of the reality shows, like all the Real Housewives. It's obviously like women, and they all are pushed to look this certain way or have this certain standard about them. When in reality, like what I've seen is like that is just not the normal housewife by any means. And
No.
also, it's this idea that like this housewife is almost like this chaotic, like high maintenance
Yeah.
sassy queen over here.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
Sassy queen.
like, not it at all. Like it doesn't really add up to what the average person is. And like going back to the workplace too, it's with tattoos. I think that there's
Oh yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
more. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like a
saying
huge
if
stereotype.
you get a tattoo, like you have to cover it up, like you're not gonna get a job.
Yeah, it's
But,
viewed
like,
as trash.
or, like,
Same
if
with
you
modern
see
days.
men with like sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if
That's,
a woman
like,
gets
not a
one
big
tattoo,
deal.
automatically she's not professional.
I
Yeah.
remember in my
Good
grade
job.
school, they had to like some of the teachers did have tattoos, and they would have to cover them up with like band-aids or
Unless it's like an
socks
offensive
and
tattoo.
shoes.
Right,
Like,
right.
why? I
It
don't
was like
understand
a
that.
cross too. They just said it was a distraction for the kids, and so they wouldn't let them.
Do
I
they
will never do
okay.
that.
No, it's a distraction to the other people that are making the rules on the kids.
Yeah,
Who
it's
cares?
just that's just like
And it was tying into you mentioned this like before we started recording was Bombshell, like that whole
yeah,
situation
Yeah.
with Megyn Kelly.
How we how we literally put like so much emphasis on like their legs and how they would dress. Or like I think there's even like one scene where they're like they had like their own like company like dressing room for like the women, and they had to like wear like two Spanx like dresses that were like super tight, like hair had to be a certain way, blah blah blah, and like the men would literally like be like, you look bad today, like turn
Well, that kind of reminds me of like movie stars and stuff. Like I've heard, like I've been like reading stuff about Megan Fox because I feel like she's really prevalent with like MGK. Even though they're
Yeah.
gross.
Actually,
Literally,
they're
yeah.
a
She's
power
weird.
couple,
But
so-
anyway, so like she like had like went on and like talked about how like she has like always been like super sexualized and like she's trying to like take herself seriously and like go out for like these movie roles and like.
Yeah.
She like
They
that's her
only
job
want
is
her
to be
as,
an
like, the
actress,
hot
yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
But they've like sexualized her to a point where like
she like is
But she's also
the greatest
she's-
example of female gaze.
she's-
Or like
exactly like same with like Brooke
Yeah.
Shields. Like I don't know if you guys know who Brooke
Yeah,
Shields is,
yeah.
but she was like before her time and like literally I was like looking her up the other day and like she was like I think in like Playboy at like 13 or like 14 or something insane.
No, she did. I think was she the one that did Blue Lagoon?
Yes, Blue Lagoon.
Yeah.
That movie is weird.
It's a really good
That is a
movie.
weird
And it's
movie.
like it's
like a
like
porno.
she gets
Oh,
like
God.
stuck on a
It is
deserted
true.
island with this guy. And
It's her
they-
cousin. Her cousin.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
They were
But
cousins.
point is, when I don't
Oh,
even
no.
know how old she was, but like her co-star was like 17 and she was like 15.
And they're naked like the whole movie. Like
Yeah.
you see everything
at
in the
15
whole movie.
years old.
Yeah, and he's like,
Oh my
Isn't
oh,
that
why
child
did you have a
pornography?
baby? And they don't understand like how she had a baby.
They don't
it is so
understand,
weird.
like, how
It is literally like a porno on Netflix.
Okay, she was 14.
Yeah.
And she was like literally topless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't get it.
Yeah, you see everything. In
But
the
it is that with
Oh, she was
Hollywood.
14. He was 19.
Yeah, Hollywood
That
in
is like
general.
that is
like-
literally illegal.
Yeah, that
Like
is.
within the law, like that is. I mean, I probably would not having sex, but like still.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
imagine
they were
though,
naked
in that
in these scenes.
scenario, if the girl was 19 and the guy was 14, I think that society would definitely lash out and be like, that is so wrong. Like, that is
Yeah.
not okay. It's interesting when it's the girl that's younger. I think that there's always this idea that, like, oh, well, she chose to do that. Like, it was her.
Yeah.
And then they're
Yeah, it's her
sexualized
decision.
for the rest of their life because
Yeah.
they just
Well-
went for a movie role.
Well, that's
This
how
reminds me of
Megan
Britney
talks
Spears and all
about.
that
Yeah.
stuff.
Like she always talks about how like Transformers was like she was like extremely like that's
So
like the movie that I think that like
sexualized.
really like affected her was because they literally used her as just like a sex object.
Exactly.
Right. Like she was just like the
lean
hot.
over the motorcycle.
Like, was
It's
that
like, she
necessary?
obviously didn't. No one sits
Like, I don't think she even
legs
talked
open,
that
like,
much in the movie besides
No.
her scene.
Yeah, I would
They
love to
literally
know
use
her
her,
like amount
yeah.
of time she spoke and like how long it was, because like, I think you can like look that stuff up and
I
see
mean,
how
I-
many lines she actually has.
I
crazy.
definitely have heard even at Mizzou, my friends are in like the broadcasting programs and stuff, that there is an issue with women being able to go as their natural, authentic self because it's like they're obviously just used in front of the camera because they look nice or they have a good voice. That's another
Yeah.
thing. It's like if they have a very, if they're well spoken
Yeah.
or they sound proper, then like they'll use them. But if someone on the other hand doesn't sound a certain way, then people are less likely to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they've told me about scenarios in that with even their professors of being like, oh well, you need to look this way or talk this way if you think you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Well, this like whole thing is like called like the grooming gap. It's kind of like similar to the wage gap, but the grooming gap is like refers to like the set of like social norms regarding like grooming and the appearance of women, and like it includes like the time that like women workers have to put in. Like if we want to talk about like I don't know, weather women on TV, like
Yeah.
they wake
Yeah.
up hours
They do
before,
full
like at
face
4
because they have to
a.m.
look
because the
presentable.
camera adds like
Yeah.
pounds, I guess.
that's
So, like
what they say.
And
they
men just walk
take
in with
their
their
face.
suit. That's how they put on.
That always confuses me because
Exactly.
like we're listening like to the weather. Like we don't need someone.
I don't
with
need
a
someone
full
trying
face.
to-
have you ever
Everyone
seen like
needs
see
hot
anyone.
dress.
a wide range
Yeah.
of like size
And, like-
on like weather women? Like they're
Yeah.
all very thin, very like voluptuous. So like
I remember learning like as a young kid too. People would always say, well, like when you're on TV, it makes you gain like 10 extra pounds. Like,
or
it's
on
like-
camera, like
On
you need, like
camera.
even if you're taking a photo.
Mhm.
I mean, like, when have you ever heard of like a woman like watching the news for a man looking attractive? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I genuinely like don't. I mean, it's
Ryan
probably
Busby
happened
in
before,
Kansas City.
maybe, but like I don't know. It's just like kind of crazy because to think that like the news thinks it's that important for women to appear super attractive
Yeah.
during work whenever men like don't have that same expectation. And
Exactly.
like for
Well,
that.
I was gonna say, like, what's interesting, like, I just kind of thought about this. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, like, my mom would, like, tell me this stuff, like, when I was younger. Because my mom, like,
Yeah.
works in business, and she's like, yeah, you have to look presentable. Like, you have to speak a certain way, and you do this and this and this. And then, like, everyone is getting jobs, and they're working for people that maybe, like, don't care as much. So, like, oh, if you, my sister doesn't wear makeup to work, and my mom literally cannot fathom that. She's like, oh my gosh, no one's gonna want to work with her, da, da, da. But she's doing really well. But like she in her brain, it's like engraved. Like, no, this is how I need to succeed.
Which like and luckily like things are starting to change, like especially with the tattoos.
Yeah,
Like it's becoming way less of like a red flag in the business place. I
Yeah.
guess like I feel like nowadays in like the normal business setting, like you're not gonna like not get the job because you have a tattoo on your wrist.
Right.
It's like a date or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when
And-
she was like doing that,
Yeah,
that
it
no,
was
exactly.
the
30
thing,
years
which is-
ago, I mean
yeah.
that was
And even
Mine-
still.
Yeah, my friend's scared of that because her dad passed away this like last year, and so like
Yeah.
she has like his birthday on her wrist and like
exactly.
his handwriting, and I go like, hey Grace, like, do you ever regret your tattoo? Just because I asked her like,
Yeah.
people regret tattoos. I'm like, do you regret like getting it? And she goes, honestly, the only reason I do is because I'm scared about like getting a job and like
Which is
people thinking
crazy
it's trashy. Because like her dad is dead.
It's not
Like
like
she
she has,
wanted
like-
something to
yeah,
remember him by.
exactly.
Like that should not be viewed
It's
as
not like
like
she has like a
trashy.
slur or something. It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's literally
yeah,
it says like
right.
you know,
love
she goes
that.
simple with like the
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like if someone walks in like I've
But,
met
like, it
people
can
with
put
like
her-
With those
very
swastika,
bad.
like, on.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
okay, obviously.
Don't
that's
have
probably-
that anyway. You wouldn't
No.
want to hire that person.
And that shows
No,
the kind of
exactly.
person they are
And
anyway.
it just
Yeah.
goes back to like basically the whole moral story is like, why are you judging someone for their looks in a business setting? Like you're working on work. You shouldn't
Yeah.
be focused on what someone looks like.
Especially
like, in
just sitting
general
in an
at all.
office
Oh,
9 to
I see
5.
that too. I'm like, if I don't want to put on makeup for myself, why am I
The
putting
same
it
20
on
people
for
I'm
you
gonna
to
see
look at
every
me?
single
Like,
day.
I should not have to wear makeup just because it may please you to look at me. Like,
Right.
Yeah, or
I
make
mean,
it
why
more
do I have to
attractive,
do
like,
that?
This is kind of like a side note, but I remember when the Me Too movement first came about and the whole deal with like Harvey Weinstein, and for a while, even now with this whole, I think, Prince Andrew's his name, and like Epstein.
Oh yeah, when
Like
that came
people
out,
are
that
not
was-
believing the survivors right now. Like people did not believe the women that came out and said stuff that like, oh yeah, like Weinstein, he did harass me, he did sexually assault me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people are like, he would never, like he's this known mogul in like
Exactly.
Hollywood, and I'm like, just because you're known does not mean that you're a good person.
Right.
Yeah. Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Literally,
there's like
yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
Like
in
the
there.
amount of things
Yeah.
Trump has said
And
against
it's just
women.
swept underneath the rug just because he's
Because
a
they're
powerful
powerful
man.
man.
versus
Yeah.
if a woman were to be like high up in an executive position and like actually did like slipped up one time, like
Yeah.
Well, think
said,
about
like,
all the
yeah.
women that have lost their jobs because they decided to speak up against men. Like every like movie star,
exactly.
when they've been like assaulted by like producers and stuff, they would lose their jobs and no one would work with them after
Yeah.
that. They lost their careers because
They literally got
like
sexually assaulted.
look
to
at
get a
Brittany.
role
She
in
had
it.
to succumb to like
Yes.
her father and like all these horrible contracts, and she was like dying inside. And there's nothing she could
to be
do.
on birth control.
I know.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
insane that that's even a thing to me.
That
I mean,
was
I have been told personally with wanting to go into law that even by my grandma, she's always like, well, are you sure you want to do that? Like, it's the boys club, like,
Yeah.
you'll have to deal with stuff. And I'm like, what makes you think, though, that should deter women from wanting to do something they've always wanted to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be challenged more and more because that's when the norms change and that's when people actually listen and hopefully stop the behavior. But even then, it's like, when you are a lawyer, you're like supposed to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Almost like
Yeah.
Elle Woods-esque.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be like
Yeah.
Right,
fancy
saying that she
and
got
nice,
into
like,
because
yeah.
she was wearing a bikini and like that's the reason that she got in when like she got was it her LSATs, like she got the scores to get in.
Yeah.
But the reason that they let her in was because she was hot.
Yeah, that's why I feel like
And no one took her seriously because
Right. She wore
was
pink
cute.
instead of
Yeah. And that's another thing. Is like I feel like people like when like they don't think like girls can be like pretty and smart.
And smart.
Yeah.
And even like I've had like a little bit of that too. Like unfortunately because of how like society is, when I went to go visit my sister in Michigan,
Yeah.
I met all my sister's sorority sisters. I was like, oh my god, these girls are so beautiful.
Yeah.
But then I heard them talk, and they were talking about like all this like crazy like mechanical engineering. I'm like, wait a 2nd, what?
Oh
Like,
my
and that's
gosh.
unfortunate
Yeah.
that I didn't think that they could be
Right.
smart just because they're
That even
pretty.
yourself, you
Yeah.
have like a bias, like
Exactly.
Well,
I admit I was
Yeah.
biased. I was like,
in movies and
what?
stuff, like the pretty, like the hot girl, like I mean, I'm assuming like
Like
Megan
Megan
Fox
Fox,
in
they're all, like,
Transformers
dumb.
wasn't like the smartest person.
And they like
on-
write them to sound stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like this has been like a pet peeve of mine like my entire life. I will literally be like someone I've known for a very long time, and I'll be having a conversation, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're so smart. I just like totally thought you were a dumb one." Like the dumb one.
Oh
my
Yeah,
gosh,
people
I
have
get that all
said
the
that
time.
to
Yeah.
me. They're like, "Oh wow, like I didn't realize you were smart. I just kind of thought you were a dumb one."
and why is it that like whenever you're
And I'm
pretty,
like-
you're automatically
I'm like,
assumed
how
as
come
dumb?
my
Yeah.
hair?
Yeah.
Because
It's
people literally
unfortunate.
only think of pretty. If you're attractive, people only think of you in a sexual way. I
But a
swear.
guy can be like,
That's
and then
why
you have
men-
to prove
That's why
yourself.
men are like,
Yeah.
but men
well, I
can
just
be
thought you were
attractive
dumb
and
because
do
you're
well.
attractive.
Yeah.
And then they take advantage of their looks and like
I've been
Ted
told I
Bundy, you
should-
know, takes advantage of his looks and then goes and murders a bunch of
Yeah,
women. Like
I've literally been
True.
told I should, if like I want to succeed in grad school, I should like stop dyeing my hair blonde.
Really?
that's so unfortunate
Wow.
that
Because
that's even a
people
thing.
are like, because people just won't think that like, you know, I'm like,
It's like we all got in here.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Like,
We all
like,
we're all
you
starting at the same
Should not be
point.
looking at my face deciding whether or not I should get
Yeah,
grad
yeah,
school.
I'm like,
or
I
be a
have,
lawyer.
I have the
Exactly.
undergrad, I have the scores, I have everything else. I'm here just
Yeah.
like I'm allowed to be here just like
Yeah,
you.
that's why I
Yeah.
feel like it's like the workplace is just like men versus women when like it needs to be like intelligent space, like not. Like, I just don't know why like the gender
And
matters.
that's when it like connects into the race issue too. It's
Yeah.
for minority women.
Oh,
They're put at such a different like
Oh my
standard and the challenges they face to get into
It's like
certain
even more.
schools. Yeah,
just like even
Yeah.
trying so much harder than
really
someone
proving
to
your
even get
intelligence.
a job, and then once you're in that job, you have to like maintain a certain like just social.
And
I
often
don't know,
companies will like hire minorities because they think it like looks like better
Yeah.
for their
Yeah.
company,
Yeah.
but then like will pay them less and treat them horrible, but like so that they can have like on their front page that they have like a diverse group, but
Well,
like
well,
they
this-
they don't treat
It's
them
like, but
equally.
yeah, like this like
So
relates
it's
to like my dad in college. Like after college, I guess he like applied to be in the FBI, and they like emailed him back, like they like wrote him back, whatever, and they were like we're sorry, but, like we're not looking for any more white males.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, they like said that to him, like straight up. They're like, yeah, we need more diversity. So I mean, like at that point, like you're not looking, like
Wait,
look
so
at.
do you guys like watch Shameless?
Yes.
Remember when the youngest kid like goes to that private school and they just like when they would bring like tour people around the school, they get like all like
they would
the kids
play
of color
pictures
out
and
and then the
no,
playground and have them
jump
play.
rope.
Actually,
Yes.
my boyfriend, he's from Mexico, and he went to a private school. They still have him on the website, and every single
Just
time
so
that they
nice.
had like photo shoots or like a tour of people, they'd be like, "Oh, Diego, do you need to go to the office to get something?"
Or like
And,
admissions
yeah,
videos.
walk through,
just so
yeah,
that
like
you can-
interview. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh my
honestly.
god! Just because he is like, is he like a citizen of the United States?
They use him as like
No,
They're
so
using
he's
him
like
as like
a-
a
he's like
token,
a-
like diverse, like
Yeah, like
diverse
so he's
student.
literally
Yeah.
from a different country. Like they wanted
Yeah,
to like,
Yeah.
and he's
include everyone.
Like,
That's
looks
Shameless. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember, like, you guys were just talking about that, and, like, that reminds me specifically
Yeah.
when they bring, like, the youngest kid. What's his name?
Liam.
Liam!
Yeah.
Out, and they're like, hey, Liam, play. And he's like, but I'm in class. No, just play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
so
just
then
bring all the
people
tour
walk
groups
them
around.
by, yeah.
We're very diverse here.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, when in reality, like they would never hire companies would never hire a woman like a lot
See,
of them
that's
are
my
like, forced
friend's
to
brother. He's
instead.
Mexican. Like,
Yeah, no.
I know he's still doing
It's always kind of like the token.
Yeah,
the
see,
token
they just
kid
like
that they
and
use
okay,
for, like,
there's
all
not
the
that much
admissions, but-
diversity in these private schools. Like, they're
Yeah.
majority white. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think that connects
Don't worry about
to
it.
someone's topic about like women and the difficulty of attaining high roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like I was just doing research about it, and I mean, one of the things that like for sure caught like just actually took my breath away was the fact that only 5.5% of CEOs among some of the largest companies in the U.S. are women, and I think that's just because for years, like it's once again they're the secretary. Have you ever met a male secretary?
That is
I
Oh,
haven't.
yeah.
When have I ever
Anytime
seen
I
that?
ever walk in, like it's always a woman. She's like on the phone. She's like, oh, one moment, and there's like multiple women. Like,
Okay, I'm gonna
it's
look
just
that up on the internet
they-
right now.
is-
Look up
has-
secretary.
is there
See
ever a
who's
male
on the
assistant?
Never.
I don't think there's a single CEO
Could you
in America
imagine
that
if
has
a
a male
woman had like a
assistant.
male
Okay,
assistant?
I type in secretary to Google. I go to images, and it's all of women on the phone.
And it's like
Not one
sexualized.
man. Not one
Literally
man.
not one man besides the movie.
Wait.
But that's
Look
the
at that picture.
They're all. Oh my gosh! There's a woman sitting on a guy's desk. I'm gonna react. This is one of the photos of secretary.
That is
Like,
shady.
I need a coffee.
I'm like,
That's
do you want
like
to give me
interns.
Stardust?
And she has like a short little pencil skirt on.
Oh yeah, and like her
Yeah.
legs are full shown,
Oh,
like
and
the
the
heels,
heels.
her hair's up and it's
Yeah.
curled, and like the
Like,
sleeves are
I hate
rolled.
that.
All these pictures are of women, literally
There's
on
like-
the phone.
and
There's
there's
not
like-
one
That's another-
man.
It's just like weirdly sexualized for like no
Yeah,
reason.
for why? Like, it's literally like, answers
and I
to
like-
all
yeah.
these people. Why is that
Like,
sexualized?
you don't need to have like, oh, look at me.
Look
Or
at
have you
me.
ever like remember like
Even,
the
like,
thing where
teacher.
people talk about
like a
like
teacher.
oh like I'm
That's
scared my
sexualized.
husband's gonna have an affair with the secretary. Like that's
Yeah.
also like a
Or
stereotype.
the babysitter, the nanny.
Yeah,
Like,
it's always woman roles that like
Exactly.
and like in those pictures, there's like not maybe two women of color.
Well, and I
oh
feel
yeah
like-
they were all white
I mean,
women.
I feel like internships also are like a big thing. Like, I feel like whenever you hear of like, and maybe this is just in the movies. I don't really know that many people personally that have had internships yet. But like, whenever I hear of like a boy having an internship, it's like they are working with the company. They are like, you know, potentially going to get hired versus like a woman's doing like coffee runs, and
Yeah.
they aren't actually like
Errands.
learning
Gilmore
the
Girls
job.
when Rory gets that like little internship, she's just going on coffee.
Yeah, or like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when
Nancy
yeah,
versus
Nancy.
Jonathan.
Yeah, and obviously that was like supposed to be shot in what, like the 70s or something. But like, I mean, I think it just proves that like it's been going on for literally ever. Like, women started at the bottom in the workplace, and like they are still mainly at the secretary role. Like, obviously only 5%. And I mean, once again, it takes a certain personality to really be a CEO of a company. But I mean, 5% is still way too little.
There are women.
yeah,
that
like,
have
there's-
personality.
Yes,
There's-
yes, exactly.
There's women out there who are just, if not more credible than men that
Then
own companies.
so
It's
much
just like
more.
who, like older men are just do not think women are capable of being in charge of such a big company
Yeah,
and
Right.
being in charge of other
And-
people and
yeah.
work. Like when in reality, that's just not
And
true.
I feel like even if men are like in that, like let's say like the CEO of a company is a male, and like he has two people that are under him, a man and a woman, like looking to like get his
Yeah.
job. Like I feel like he wouldn't want to be like responsible for like hiring a woman to like take
Right.
his position, because like there's definitely going to be males in the company that are like, oh why'd you choose the woman over like, oh, now we got a girl bossing us around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they're
now
viewed as
they're
bitchy.
bossing us
They're viewed
around.
as like bitchy.
That's
If you
right.
try to be a hard ass, just so men will take you seriously.
When
Yeah,
Jeff
exactly.
Bezos got a divorce from his wife, people were like,
Oh my god.
she doesn't deserve that billions, and I'm like, she was right there with
Yeah.
him
The
building up
entire
Amazon.
way, and then he was like,
And then
also
he
how
had
they
divorced.
divorced
So
fortune.
yeah, she does. Same with Melinda and Bill. Like Melinda, they didn't have a prenup, but she deserves every ounce of that money.
Yeah,
She
I'm
was
What
like-
about Adele? Didn't Adele like lose all her money in the divorce to her husband?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she lost
Yeah.
like everything.
Yeah.
A lot.
And it's
If you didn't send a
literally
prenup, you get like literally half of their money. So if you're
Yeah.
a millionaire, billionaire, that's a lot of money.
Sorry, that's just
It's a lot of
how it-
assets that you're
I mean, it
but-
goes along with the intro to Section 5, which is science, technology, and the digital world, and that's like about for STEM majors, specifically women. Like that's obviously still so man-driven, and they made a really good point in the article of like, imagine if these well-known discoveries of like electricity or something
Yeah.
like that was made by a woman. How much more different would
Yeah.
the world be?
Did you see that too?
Yeah.
And how we view the United or like women in the United States or other parts of the world. And I like started thinking about certain things that have been discovered, and I was like, that is such a good point. Even now, like Elon Musk is making incredible discoveries, but it's a male.
I
Wait,
feel
but
like
did
they
you
don't-
see that TikTok about these two women? They sit down and they talk about every like discovery that was discovered by a man when it wasn't in reality. The man
It was-
took that like
Women
credit.
were-
But it was,
yeah.
there's a lot of women that actually invented things that men have taken credit for, like the like most like minimal thing.
Yeah.
Like if a guy and a woman were working on it, the men would get full credit, and we would
Yeah.
we don't know a bunch of women.
Or not even that, but people, not even like the credit thing, but just in terms of people listening to a male more. Like if I made something and then my neighbor Bob made the exact same thing, people would
Be like, oh,
be,
Mom.
oh yeah,
Especially
Bob's
if it's
is
in
better.
like the science.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
It's
that
like,
goes
he's
like
gonna
back
be
to Jeff
smarter.
Bezos. Like he never put his wife like
Yeah,
in the PR standpoint like he did himself. Like
yeah,
what I've heard is he never gave her the credit that she deserved for what
Yeah.
she did
and
for
you know
Amazon.
she did so much.
And
Yeah.
like, there's also so much more that goes into like you're in a marriage, like that's really important as
That's
well.
a
Like
two
just because
person,
your wife
yeah.
is not making money, you guys are a team. Like she probably supports him through everything. So like,
Exactly.
why is she not getting any credit? I'm sure without him or without her, he would probably not have made where he was.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's again this idea for specifically after what we saw in these past summers with like the Black Lives Matter movement going on. Like,
yeah.
I can't imagine how difficult it is for women of color to be able to feel heard or listened to.
Well, what's that one movie about NASA? That
Hidden
the
Figures.
Hidden
yeah,
Figures,
like
Hidden
that,
Figures.
like that one.
Where there was only like one women bathroom and they had to like spray
Yeah.
across.
Well, and it was like
And
a
they
colored
gave them,
bathroom,
like,
I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the colored bathroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they
They,
only
like,
got like a
couldn't-
5-minute break.
But
so
like
she could be
that's
like
like their
holding it all day because you only get
Yeah.
like one bathroom break.
No, but like you know that those women were like the smartest people
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
world.
and they, I mean, they only got
And
their
they-
credit. What, like how many years later?
Like, yeah, and
they
they couldn't
had,
even
like,
get like
20.
they couldn't
Yeah.
even get like treatment higher than like, oh, can I use a bathroom that's in this
Yes.
building?
Yeah.
That'd be
They
great.
actually had, yeah. No,
I
it's
mean, that's also like when Angela Davis talked about in her like interviews, like from the FBI or something, titled something like that.
Right. Mhm.
And she was just even talking about like her experience as a feminist, and it's not often until the woman dies that they're remembered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like men are remembered now, but women are often remembered when they've passed or like
Yeah.
they've gone on.
It's like,
and
and
so
it's like, oh wait, they were actually innocent. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like they're
people knew that at the
like
beginning.
Rosa
when they were
Parks
alive.
was never actually looked at as a incredible figure, obviously, until she passed away. And
yeah, and now we like learn about her in history class and stuff.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
why is that? Because she's no longer living, and she was extremely like impressive black
Yeah.
woman.
And
Like,
it's the same when we
and-
talk about books in English. They're always written by like dead white men, and like we never like read anything else or even like I feel like talk about anything
Yeah.
else like of dealing
Besides,
with
like,
women unless like
Jane Austen or something.
yeah.
But even that, like her books, like Pride and Prejudice, like when she wrote that, that's like very much about like the culture of finding a suitor to marry your daughter off, and like you want someone who has tons of money, and like your daughter needs to have a big dowry, which is like her.
Or like Bridgerton.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
Bridgerton.
a whole
Yeah.
show just solely devoted to
And do you
Getting
know
your
that,
daughter
oh,
away.
and it goes back to like whoever writes that thing, like It reminds me of like in the past when women would write books, they would literally give like a false name or like a male name.
J.K. Rowling,
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. So it'd be
She
That's
made her
exactly
name
what she did.
that because she did not want people to know that she was a female.
Yeah.
Because J.K. is
Right.
like, you don't
Those
know,
type of books.
you don't know
Yeah.
what
I mean, those are like-
don't know
I didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
I heard about that because
and
they
imagine
were
it
It
took
took
without
years
Harry
for her to
Potter.
come out and be like, I'm J.K. Rowling.
I'm J.K. Rowling. I'm a woman, and she actually went. I like read about this or saw like a video. I'm pretty sure she like went to go like to a publishing company and be like, "Okay, will you publish Harry Potter? Do you like the book?" And they were like, "Nope." And then
Yeah.
she like changed
She
her name
wrote
after
the
that.
first book on
And it was, like,
a
not good,
piece of a
apparently.
napkin in a
Yeah.
soup kitchen. She was homeless and like had this idea and vision of this book and just wrote it.
I'm gonna
and
search it up real quick.
I mean, even in that sense, it's like such a big part of our world. Like Harry
Right,
Potter.
yeah.
People are still like
Everyone knows,
Potterheads.
like,
I'm
everyone knows.
like, I
that.
love Harry
Potter.
Potter.
It's so good.
No, what my roommate was telling me, I can't remember if she knew this
Yeah.
girl or if she heard this story, but basically she knew or heard whatever. A girl, I think she was like African American or something, like some diversity, not white is my point. And basically when she was like applying to college, I guess like I think her parents, they did something like changed her name to like sound like more like a guy or like had her legally change her name so that she would have a better like shot of getting in. Like she didn't like keep her name and she goes like, oh, that's what said. Their last name. She like they changed like they gave her like a first name like Alex where it could be like girl or guy, but changed her last name to like Austin. And she didn't keep her family's last name and she goes, why did you guys do that? And they go, we wanted you to have a shot of like getting a career and like making sure like if you applied they wouldn't know if you were a guy or not.
Well,
Like,
I'm
they would
sure
have no
for
idea.
people of like certain nationalities who do have native names, like
Yeah.
they probably do. Even you know when you go somewhere and they are like, this is my American name, and
Yeah.
it's like some random like Megan or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not their real name, and they can't actually go by their identity because they're afraid that in these higher roles they wouldn't be taken seriously, or they would be like, oh, well, they're like foreigners. Why would
Yeah,
we
they're
ever trust them?
Like I've
Yeah.
literally seen people in my life judge someone off their name and be like, oh, well, they're like foreign, and I'm like, what?
And I'm like, why does
just
that
because you
matter?
see someone's name, I'm like,
It's a
yeah, why
beautiful
does it
name,
matter?
it's
Like,
different.
obviously they're hyped in this company. Why does it matter if their name is, if they're African, they have like an African name,
Yeah,
and, like
exactly.
a cultural name. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You cannot discredit them because of like before you know them
Right.
because of their
I
name.
mean, when my dad turned 18, his dad sat him down and handed him legal papers to change our last name to Cap, like C-A-P-P. Because, like, I guess, like, during his dad's time and my dad's grandparents' time, people, like, were really prejudiced against Italians and, like, thought of us as, like, dirty and
Italian
disgusting.
mafia stuff.
Yeah, and so, like, the amount of times I've been asked if I'm in the mafia. Anyway,
Literally,
like,
that's, like,
people would
straight
view us
racism
as,
right
like,
there.
dirty and stuff. So, like, my dad wanted him to
Yeah.
change his name because he's like, you're not Kevin, you're never gonna get hired if your last name's Caponecchi, like they're gonna know. And my dad's like, if I have to change my last name to like be hired, like I'm not being who I truly am. Like I'm not gonna change my last name and like ruin the history of our family just
Yeah.
because someone may not hire me because they know I'm Italian. So like he kept it and
You
he
don't
like
want to be
said
working with
no.
those people anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Racist.
But unfortunately, like I
Yeah.
guess Italians just like weren't ever hired for like nice, you know, jobs. They
Yeah.
did the jobs that no one else like
Yeah.
wanted to do.
Well, that's like the idea too. Like in Monisha Das Gupta, her article, she mentions like with immigrants, like the American dream, and but in reality, like immigrants have grown up fearing this government, and like in
Yeah.
reality, we have no idea what it's like to wake up in fear when you walk out on the streets if you will
Yeah.
be approached differently or.
Right.
I mean, even another piece of it too, I'm sure for immigrants is like when you don't natively speak English, like this isn't a country of one language, and I think a lot of businesses believe that, or corporations, and so when you like struggle with English, they're like,
Right.
oh well, we can't have them in these high roles
Yeah.
because they can't speak properly or
Yeah.
do this, and because they have an accent too, their accent's too heavy for people to understand, and I mean, to me, I'm sure there's an American dream, but like at some time I'm like, what is it?
What is
It's
it?
not
Yeah.
I don't
good.
see
It's
anything.
It's to grow up, work, and then.
I mean, I had
Yeah.
my Spanish teacher. Anyway, like freshman year, I had my Spanish teacher literally tell me that if you are going to be in America, you have to speak our language. Like, you have to speak English.
We
And
definitely
I-
have that.
And she's like,
yeah.
I like
for
if
sure.
I'm going to go to
People
Mexico,
scream at each other.
I like will
Like-
speak Spanish to you guys, but if you come here, you have to speak English. And I was like, I don't know if that is literally the right take at all. Like,
Right.
Now, if you're like in Kansas and you're from Mexico and let's say you like only speaking Spanish, you're not gonna get very. I don't know how many.
Job.
You go to Walmart. I don't know how well you're gonna do like trying to. So, but I mean, if you're in Southern California or somewhere like that, like I bet it'd be a lot easier. But I think honestly,
Florida.
like it is like if you don't speak English, like good luck. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, like
there's
you're-
not a
Well,
ton
I was
of.
gonna say you
you
brought
don't
up
have
like
much
the
room for
accent
you.
thing, and like my boyfriend, like I said, he's like my son. He has like a really thick accent, and he has said he like literally was told this by like an advisor. They were like, people will automatically think you are stupider than you
Yeah.
are because you have an accent. Because
Yeah.
like they're like it's like there's a percentage. I don't remember what the percentage is, but it's like you are perceived as being like not as smart because you have an accent.
Exactly.
And like his sister has like struggled to get jobs and stuff like that, like because of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a woman, we're already like knocked down a few pegs like on the board.
Yeah.
So like having to deal with that also, like I just can't imagine like. Fortunately, I feel like I am like have more opportunities than a lot of people like based on the like where I am like networking and stuff. But like so many other women have it like so much harder when you have to think about like again like your hair, your makeup, like all these other things, and
Even
now
jewelry.
yeah, and now you're
Yeah.
talking about accents. I'm like, holy like shit, like
There's
Yeah.
like a
what else
perfect
do we have
mold,
to
and if you
do?
don't
Yeah.
fit it, like good luck.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
Or like we
There's
talk
some-
we talk about it a lot. So like in class, like the like how intersectionality like goes into it. So like obviously, yeah, I'm like a woman and like I'm gonna have like a hard time, whatever. But like black women are gonna have like a way harder time. 'Cause they're not just dealing with like gender
And
discrimination.
especially if they're part of like the
racism.
LGBTQ community.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
queer black women are among the most oppressed people.
racism.
I've
in
always
America.
thought that. I was like,
Like
oh
you're
my
like you're like
gosh.
triple oppressed at that point. Like
Yeah.
you're-
Yeah.
like no, right?
It's
Like
true,
it's true.
yeah.
Like you're part of the LGBTQ community. You're black and you're a woman. Like
Yeah.
what more can you get?
Yeah,
you know?
well, like at that point you start hiding yourself.
Yeah, and
and then you don't let people find out that
that's
you
a
are
huge
bisexual.
thing.
Maybe that
gay.
stops women from also like feeling like they even have the opportunity. Like some women may just like settle for like
Yeah.
maybe like I don't know like a stupid job because maybe they feel like oh I already am like like deal with depression like is there like do I even have the chance to like do I feel like I could even get ahead like maybe like we couldn't I don't know like
Yeah.
I guess my point is like I feel like many women could do great things but they just feel too discouraged to even try like when you guys were talking about like how like men are like CEOs and stuff all I could think is any like woman CEO that I could think of on the top of my head what CEO is she of a company is probably like a woman's company like
a boutique.
tampons or like something like that
Kendra
like
Scott.
exactly like
Lori Bird.
I don't know like
Actually,
any
yeah.
if you think of like women CEOs do you know any woman CEO of like something that's like more like targeted to men or like like just like business or medical no it's like fashion jewelry which
Even
is
social
great
media is
but-
like
not like
like Facebook. It was like
Well, I was
Mark
gonna
Wahlberg,
say when you brought up that statistic, I was like,
Not Mark
Wahlberg, not Wahlberg,
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, not Wahlberg.
like
You know
I
whatever.
could not, like I literally just looked up
Yeah.
yeah. Because I was like, I could not think
Literally,
like,
that is-
I feel
yeah.
like they're not talked about like business.
Like the ones that I can
Elon
think
Musk
of
or
are like from the
something.
show Shark Tank. Like one of them was the
Zuckerberg.
QVC.
Lori, yeah.
Lori, and then Barbara did something else.
Yeah.
Maybe with clothes too, or maybe it actually was a technology
So
thing. I
like,
can't remember.
like women CEOs
I
are
just
CEOs
had
of
that
things that are
thought.
made
And
for
like
Mark
Kendra
Wahlberg.
has come and talk, and she's obviously Kendra Scott.
oh and Kate Spade
Kate Spade.
Kate Spade.
Tori Bird, she obviously was
Those
close as
things.
well.
So it's just interesting. I was just like, I remember talking about that, and I meant to say something earlier, but I was just like, if you think about like CEOs that are women, what are they CEOs of? Like
Yeah.
what companies? I
It's
could only think of
literally, like,
female
feminine
company.
products.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
Things
Females
for
buy
people.
those products, so they're not going to discriminate. But they're not going to be like,
Oh, but the
Kyleigh,
men,
CEO, I'm not
the
going to buy
men who are
it.
CEOs of like pencil companies decide to give women pink pencils, make it $3 more than the male ones, or are like creating feminine products that aren't even like inclusive to like women.
Yeah.
Like tampons, there are no freaking regulations on the ingredients that they put in tampons. Like they don't have to pass
And they're
the
taxed.
food and drug. Yeah.
We have to pay more.
The pink
just
tax.
because I'm bleeding. I can't.
I
It's-
can't
it's
help
a
that I
choose
bleed.
life.
But I'm like,
sorry.
why are men creating women's products when they don't even know a woman's body?
Or why,
Oh,
like, why are
this-
men? They don't understand what it feels like to be a woman, and like, why are they making rules and like laws on stuff like I mean, like an abortion, like why are men granted the rules?
Yeah, so
That's where like your topic comes into play about like the women in political positions and how there just there's little to none representation.
There is, and like that's the thing about.
But they're also deemed crazy in a sense. Like AOC, people are like she's insane.
She's a flaming like
just
liberal
because she
and
has to
whatnot.
talk. She has to talk like
louder.
Because people don't listen to her.
Like women are viewed as like loud and noisy and all that stuff. It reminds me of what you were saying about like why is it like when women pass are they like suddenly like well known? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I can literally attest that I did not know about Ruth Bader Ginsburg just because I'm not a super political person till the last few years, and that's only because she like just recently passed away. Like who ever talked about
and now
her before
everyone is
now?
like we have to celebrate her legacy.
She literally graduated.
We do, but we should have been doing that.
She graduated at the top of her class.
You know how incredibly smart you have to be to do that?
Yeah.
That was a Harvard or
Harvard
Stanford. I can't remember which one.
I thought she went to Yale.
Let's look
Or
it
Yale.
up.
It's one of the
Actually, it was either
big ones,
it was
but-
Yale or Harvard, and she graduated top of her class of her law school, and was only like she was either the only female or the like one of like 3 females
Or like
in her class.
even like
There's like a picture of the class, and it's like her, and then it's just white men.
Yeah.
you even think about we
And
literally just had her.
Even with
first
her,
year.
like she had a very like
She went to
hidden-
5
was so
schools.
cool.
Columbia Law School, Harvard University, James Madison, oh that's a high school, Cornell University, and Harvard Law School.
and like
she's-
literally,
she's
it's crazy. How, like
and she had
how
a very
everyone
like
knows
And
that.
she
was
was
very-
Harvard
and
and
Cornell.
until she was
she
how
literally
old?
worked
Well,
until
she was
she
a
died.
judge. She was
Yeah.
a reporter.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean,
I'll
she had
speak
a
about
very
her, but-
hidden, like, minority as well because, like, her religion, she's a Jewish woman. And I think that's another thing is,
Religion is
in the
another
U.S.
reason.
and government, like, religion is a huge aspect when you're not this, like, Christian person and you're not white. And that's been really difficult because there is also a lack of religion diversity.
Oh yeah, like with vacations and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you think about like
Yes.
what holidays do we like celebrate in school? We all call it like
All, like,
Christmas break. The school calls it winter break.
break.
But when is it around?
Like
It's around
Hanukkah's going on
Christmas.
right now,
Yeah.
and people who celebrate Hanukkah usually are not allowed to use like technology or certain things. It obviously depends on like the type of Jewish person you are.
And here we are.
Yeah, like
But-
what you like.
Yes.
yeah, and like everything is online now.
But
like, it's-
imagine if you had school on Good Friday. Imagine, like
Yeah.
Christians would go crazy.
Yeah.
The outburst.
So it's like
And
it's
think about women
dominant-
who probably
dominant
like want to
religion.
ask for that time off. Like
Yeah.
I bet they don't even feel like they're allowed to because they'll be viewing as like I don't know, like oh she's so irritable to deal with. Like why is she like asking these things from me? And like
Actually, when Miss B gave us off Yom Kippur, I thought it was so respectful for people
That
who are
was.
practicing because that is the biggest day for Jewish people. That is
Right,
like,
that's like if we had school on Christmas.
Christmas.
but I was
Yeah.
shocked though.
Even
like
we get off the
I've never known a teacher that's done that. I was
Yes.
like,
Yes.
So that was like very.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's sad that was a
inclusive.
shock for me to see that. I'm like, wait, she took off for this? Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
when
honestly,
have you ever
yeah.
taken off for
It's
that?
like-
Yeah, I mean,
We
Yom
did, like, a whole
Kippur is
month.
like the day of like Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. It's like their New Year's, and so like it's just so important for them. It's like us celebrating Christmas.
Yeah.
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 It's
Actually,
literally like us.
Easter.
Like we get literally, I mean, we get Thanksgiving off, and then like, and then we get Christmas off. Like, why can't we be respectful and at least even one day, like the day of, for to get off for like,
Yeah,
so that they can
We're
celebrate
a
theirs.
diverse enough country where we should.
Yeah.
I mean, think
At
about
least
religions
like-
that also like fast. Like, do you think like if like
Yeah.
someone's fasting right now, they're gonna get their full like mental state to be able to like do schoolwork? Like, you're hungry, so like you know, like I know when I'm hungry, I don't think about anything else but food. So like,
Yeah.
I just feel like
religion
stuff.
discrimination.
Yeah.
Even if you
touched on,
think
but-
like in Congress as well, when you like, I'm curious to even see. Obviously, there's a struggle with getting women in the government, but like their difference in race and religion and like certain aspects like that, and even sexuality. Like, I'm sure women who come out and are in the LGBTQ community. There was a senator, and she, what was her name? She's from Kansas. It starts with an S. And
is it the
She's gay, and she's also
Native
Native
American?
American.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. I literally went and saw her like.
She's so cool.
I literally
No,
was
she
in her
must be a
office.
house rep.
Yeah, I
She probably
think that's what
is.
she is.
Yes, she is. It's for.
I don't remember what like.
How do I not remember her name? Isn't this sad we like can remember
Sharice Davis.
Yeah.
Sharice Davis. She's
Davis.
Native American, and I think she's Native American and maybe African American. I believe she's mixed, and she's also gay, and that was something that was very controversial for Kansas. But even to be Native American in the government, I feel like it's a very, very, very big deal.
I mean, even like being a woman in the government is like. I mean, like I looked it up, and like 27% of people, like House representatives are women, and then 24 in the Senate are women, and we only have 9 women governors.
Yeah. Wait, but who was the woman
That's
that literally
18%.
said,
Like,
vote for me because you like agree with me, don't vote for me because I'm a woman? Because she was scared that people were just gonna vote for her because like, oh, like since I'm a woman, since a woman, I'm gonna support women. She's like, I forgot who it was, but she goes, don't just like vote. Like I'm not just here to run as a woman to be like your guys' idol. Like I'm here to actually like do.
People to this day literally
so.
post on social media. I saw all during the election. Whenever there wasn't there a female candidate for a while that was running
for this past election?
Yeah, was there a female candidate or was there someone that was going to run? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But
I think
there was a girl
Wasn't
like
it green?
Yeah, she
oh
wasn't.
yes. No, it was the Green Party.
Yeah, she wasn't like technically like Democrat. But I saw on Twitter and Instagram people were commenting like women can never be in charge of our country. Our country that burned down in flames if we have a female president. And I'm just like, behind their screens are saying this like someone gay cannot run our country like
well,
they're
I
not
was
saying
just
just
say
like someone.
what was his name?
Well, men don't want women to work because they think their job is
Like,
in the
women
Like, it was
just
so
so
sad that he
mad.
had absolutely no chance just because he was gay. People like a gay person can't run our
No, this
country.
argument that like a
Which is
woman
so
president
ridiculous.
How much homophobia is
wouldn't be good is because women think that they're emotional.
Oh yeah, and they think that like we wouldn't be good in like war and
I was
stuff
gonna
like
say
that.
there's this video and it's like his name's Jordan Klepper, I think is his last name. And he goes to like all these different like rallies, like he would go to like the Biden ones and like Trump rallies and all that stuff. And he literally and like especially for like I know like Republicans like they really did not like Kamala Harris and like one of he talked to this one lady and she was like, women have too many emotions, like they have way too many hormones, like they could start a war like that, like you don't know what
Which is not how it's not.
Like,
You can't just be like,
actually,
it's
no,
because
Congress.
you go through the channels.
You have to go through Congress to get it passed. Like Biden couldn't wake up and be like, okay, we're having a war with Canada.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
like he could do something, but like it would only last for a little bit.
I mean, women in terms of leadership, like in politics, like, let's say we did have a woman president, like you know that other countries with men leaders
they
are
would
like,
this is like so weak.
exactly,
They would be
like,
oh yeah, girl,
US got a girl,
But
yeah.
that's the thing though. There's other countries that have had like female
Like, look at
ministers,
the-
presidents, and stuff like that.
I know.
And it's like, I mean, it's of course it's like a big deal,
Yeah.
but I feel like the fact that we still have not done that is insane to me. Like the fact that like all these other countries can be like, yeah, having a female president, that's so cool, but we're like hormones.
Yeah,
I don't know about
exactly.
that. Like that's insane to me.
I mean, I don't know what the deal, because obviously it's like you get a pension after you're in office, but I don't know if there's a difference like going on with our topic of like the wage gap. If there's a wage gap with women in government.
Yeah,
there is.
no.
I'm sure. Like I'm not.
I'd love to know.
surprised.
Yeah, I was looking into the wage gap, and it's actually improved 33 cents, like since 1980. No, but it's just that
Working for it.
at the rate that we're going, women will not be paid the same as men until 2060, which is in 40 years.
Okay, so
which is so
I
ridiculous.
maybe retired at some point.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
16 years old women
Yeah.
finally get right to
So
full
glad my
time
daughter one
workforce.
day will be.
And I
Yeah,
looked
right.
up, I was like, why is there a wage gap? Like, I literally typed that into Google, and I went to this website, and it said that
That's actually good.
women typically are taken away from work to accommodate for family needs because they are in charge of the family, like, that is like the societal norm is like, you take care of your
So
family.
just
And the
casual
man's the
massage
breadwinner,
and
job. Yeah,
right?
so So it said that that leads to less experience, which means lesser jobs and lesser job experiences because they're taking care of the kids as well. So I thought that was really interesting. I had never even
I
thought
think I
about
should
that.
be paid more for taking care of kids
Yeah.
and managing a job and a husband. So
I know. I'm like, but
Yeah,
raising
honestly,
kids is a
and
full time
a
job too.
and,
Like,
and a husband.
Yeah,
Like,
is like a child.
It is,
sometimes.
yeah.
I'm like, no.
I love my dad so much, but sometimes I'm like, oh mom, you're an angel.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't even
My
make
dad's
him
a-
water for dinner.
Yeah.
He's like, where's my water? I'm like, you know
Oh
what
my
the fridge
gosh.
is.
Yeah.
So,
That is my
at
grandfather.
this point, he's just like expect. I'm like, no.
He's expecting your mom to do things for him.
My
Well, just like
mom,
any of us.
Yeah.
My mom
It's like
got
order.
COVID, so I was like at home, and my dad would get home and he'd be like, "Is dinner ready?" And I'm like, "You know where the fridge is."
Yeah.
Oh, my
Oh,
dad
my
did
dad
for like
doesn't
literally
know how
the
to-
first time in so long, and my mom came and was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "You do this every night. Like he can make like it was
Yeah,
very
That's
awesome.
sad.
It's
That's
not
actually
so
sad when a guy makes you
I
feel
was like,
Oh my god!
wow.
Or my dad, when he goes to the store, my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't
Yeah.
believe he did that," and I'm like,
Because, yeah,
"It's the
they're in
store."
charge of the whole family.
It's the
and
store.
they're
Like,
expected.
my grandmother had to get both of her knees replaced, so she, the whole week before she had the surgery, was making meals and like cooking
Oh,
everything
yes,
to put in the
I
fridge
remember that.
for her husband. I'm like, Papa, if you cannot walk your butt downstairs
No.
and make
Or
soup,
go get some food somewhere else.
if
Like,
Mima passes away, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Papa, you need to do something. I doubt he knows how to put ice in a water.
I mean, that's like-
oh my god. He'd be like,
Really?
so Mima, where's the ice?
Mima, where's the
How does one make ice? I'd be like, Papa.
I'll like make
It's
like,
called
it's called
freezer. But leave
You know
it
those
there's
ice
this magical thing
makers?
like a can opener, and then you put it in.
I like make avocado toast. That's like my favorite thing.
so
Right now.
good.
And my dad's like, "Is that mine?" And I'm like, about to take a bite. And I'm like, "No, it's not yours.
Why
I
would it
didn't
be
wake
yours?"
up and decide to serve you. That's not how it works."
I will say that like my dad, because I have had like this conversation with him before, and he was like, I was totally, excuse my language, I was a total piece of shit like before before I married your mom and everything, and then he was like, and then I had 2 girls, so he's literally surrounded
Same with my dad.
and he's like, after that, it was like real quick, like he was like, I don't want anyone to treat my daughters like that.
like that. Yeah.
So he was like, I'm gonna
Change.
I mean, that's
Thanks.
along with my topic of like the sacrifices that women make. It goes along, I think, with our entire discussion of like women are the ones who have to drop everything when they have a kid, or they have to be the ones who do maternity leave, and like sometimes though women decide like the husband is gonna stay home with the kid, and when guys do that, they're looked down upon. They're like, why would you ever do that?
Why would you let your wife
Or
be
they'd
the
be like, why
breadwinner?
do you expect me to stay at home with kids? And I'd be like, why do you expect me to? Like,
No, have y'all seen the guy on TikTok and it's like day in the life of a stay-at-home husband?
I think
I
they
have.
have.
It's so funny because he starts and he's like, leave your casual misogyny at the door. Here's the day in the life of a stay-at-home husband. He's like, first I made coffee for my wife because she works too hard. No one wants to do this. And then I cleaned, and then I organized her makeup, and then I did this and this and this. And it's so cute and funny.
But
if
what's
you
the comment
People in the
section?
comments, it's a bunch of just like dudes like who.
And also like the
that's-
fact that that's so
the toxic
weird
masculinity.
that like
Why is your
guys-
wife-
I
why is
mix
your wife
up,
breadwinner?
Like they're
Yeah.
so insecure, they just have to jump to the comments.
Or the
and-
statement
Yeah.
that
So
like
insecure.
the
They're like-
woman wears the pants in the relationship,
my
and I'm like,
Can we just get rid of that?
why?
Yeah.
Why is it
Yeah.
the pants? Like,
pants.
They're like, oh,
The
like
pants.
does she like?
She
What
wears
did
a
they
skirt.
say? Like they go, oh, like does she
What?
boss you around and stuff?
skirt.
Oh,
Skirt
like
short.
their wives are always like bossing the men around, and I go,
well, they're stupid.
I'm like, maybe if you could just like easily put like a dirty dish into the sink, then I wouldn't have to like yell at you because I
Yeah.
come home from like a full day of work. I say this like I know. I'm not going
I'm like,
if I were to come home from a full day of work,
My
and
dad does
that
not know how to
shit,
do the
I'd be so
dishwasher.
your dad does not know how to do
Oh,
it.
my
He
dad
doesn't know how to
will.
He was like, he told my sister the other day, he was like, Paige, can you come? Do you know how to? Can you do? All right, I got a work call. Oh my god. I mean, not that I know how to either. But like, I just never had to. Like, it's just like never been the right time. Like,
Yeah.
But like, he just like didn't. He just like didn't. No, I'm just like never there when it's like full.
No,
I just
you
like
know that's
happened to leave
valid.
at that time.
Oh, so you like put it in there, but you like shut it.
Yeah.
So you just don't run.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But no, you just like expect. He was like, yeah, no, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, well, maybe you just have to really show you if like you live here. Like I don't live here anymore. It's like it's fine, but I don't know.
I mean, that's also the article, like the egg and the sperm. It's still this idea of like
Yeah.
women are submissive and
Yeah.
men are assertive, and like it's their job to be dominant and like assert the role, and women are just kind of there to like fill the.
Oh, and they talk about women having like daddy issues and stuff.
Yeah, but when like in reality, so many boys have mommy issues too.
Yeah.
Like
Too
many.
Oh my
have
gosh,
mommy
like that
issues,
TLC
so.
show where like the mom is like
Yes.
obsessed with her son and doesn't think anything
Yes,
is
I
good
know
enough,
that
and she
is.
goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna come and decorate your house
Yeah.
for you," and the wife is like, "What do you
I know.
mean?" Like, oh,
Yeah.
She's like, stop.
oh, like that was.
I was gonna say that comment,
Yes.
it actually like, so like there's this book that I read like nice girl achieving a career you love without becoming a person that you hate. And basically, like, the whole thing is like, when, especially, it's like, it's written by a woman that's like in the business world. And it's basically just like an advice book, because the whole thing is like, if you are too aggressive, then you're bitchy and you're terrible to work with and abrasive and da-da-da. But then if you're too nice, then you're a people pleaser and you're a pushover and you can't do your job well and da-da-da-da. So there's like really no middle ground.
It's like the tyranny of niceness, and like women have a, like my mom especially, she cannot say no. She is such a people pleaser, and sometimes she'll be like, oh my gosh, like if I say no, they're gonna be mad. I'm like, say no, like you literally cannot do that.
I mean, I'm the same way. I'm like scared to like stick up for myself. I'm just like,
Yeah, me too.
I let it go. I don't want to start like drama.
Yeah.
Or when I
I'm
text
gonna
people,
please-
like I catch myself being like, oh my gosh, like it's absolutely no problem, don't worry about it. And then on the other hand, my brother's like, okay, like that's his responsibility.
Right. Yeah.
Like he doesn't care at all. And it's like women have to be very, very nice, or they're afraid that people won't like them or won't take them, or think that they're a bitch because they say this.
I was talking to my sorority sister about this. We were talking, and basically, what were we saying? We were saying something about like the fact that, what was it? Oh, that like women who want to be confident were being viewed as being full of themselves, but then like someone else would be like, what? You guys are all
No, go ahead. Sorry, I was looking.
On the other hand, then people would be like, oh, well, like she's so insecure, so she's like, or she'll be like, oh, but girls say like another girl's being like too much. Well, what's the right amount?
Exactly.
What's the right amount of confidence and insecureness? What's the right amount of like, you know, being yourself, but also having to like hide because you're scared that like people are gonna like, I don't know, like think you're trying to like be a certain way. Like it's just like crazy how like girls can struggle with having confidence, because the minute they're viewed confident, a bunch of people attack them and like, oh my god, they're so full of themselves, they're so egotistical. Whereas if a guy has a shit ton of confidence, no one says shit. They're like,
he's
yeah.
limiting so many girls.
He's got
Versus like
bullets.
I've seen versus like you see a girl who's like extremely confident and they're like they're so full of themselves. Oh my
Or
god.
like,
Oh my god, makes me down so hot.
Or even they're like,
Hotter
oh,
than
they're a
you.
tease, especially if they're
Yes.
like, around and it's like, oh my gosh, do you see
She
like,
won't have
how
sex
she's
with me.
walking?
Or she's
and
rude.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
all the time because like I am a very confident person, and I do assert myself in a room, especially when there are guys, because my dad has
Yeah.
always taught me to do that, and he's always told me like, never ever think that because you're a woman you cannot go in that room and feel heard.
Yeah.
So like I do that, and then guys like don't want to talk to me because they're scared of me, and I'm like, okay, I don't, good, like whatever.
Good.
Like I'm
That's
fine
okay
with
to
it.
be scared.
I'm fine with it, but at the same time, it's like, but I'm not. Like I have
Yeah.
fun. I'm not rude because I assert myself, and then you can go do that because also not.
Exactly.
I mean, my dad sat down and talked to me and was just like, basically, long story short, wait.
What? Wait,
No,
you're looking at each other.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay,
get
then we
over
just like
time.
No, say
No,
your
right.
thing.
Go
Say your
ahead.
thing, like we'll just wrap it up.
I was gonna say, it's like my dad the other night called me and like he was basically like, just like never like be the victim of any situation, because it's so easy to write a story about like how you're treated unfairly, but like be confident, show confident, and be like that person. Don't be the person that like feels sorry for themselves because maybe they don't get an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's
Doesn't
it.
get you anywhere.
Short and cute.
Exactly.
I love that.
Well,
This was fun.
I had fun talking.
We hope you enjoyed listening.
we hope you enjoyed our
If it's
podcast.
still on.
Oh my god, I will
Oh my
actually
God.
die. I will actually die.
The feminist.
Woo!